What exactly can we expect to hear from Kamala Harris in her speech tomorrow? The New York Times reports the highly anticipated economic message will be light on detail. Quote, Harris's team and many of the liberal policy groups that support her have championed the idea that her best bet is to hammer poll-tested overarching economic themes that reflect core values and reinforce her political biography, and mostly leave the white papers until after the election. Sean Duffy, former Republican congressman of Wisconsin, also my co-host on The Bottom Line with Dagan and Duffy. Sean, the headline of that New York Times story in the actual paper, it's on the front page, reads, "Vagueness is a strategy." That is the beginning of the headline, vagueness. Does vagueness resonate with people who are saddled still with sky-high prices that are not falling under Kamalanomics?
Well, first off, vagueness is being used because if you actually gave us clear policy about what you wanted to do, the American people would hate it, Dagan. So she has to be vague, because if she's clear, they'll go like, I don't want this set of commie policies for my future. By the way, when she's talking about price gouging, the real policy prescription for that is price fixing. They want to go old school socialism, fix prices. By the way, you know this, our viewers know this, wherever that's tried, it always fails. You can't price fix your way out of inflation. You need really clear, bold policies like Donald Trump has laid out to go, this is the problem that we're in, this is how we're going to fix it. But being vague, I don't think is going to work with the American people.
Yes, price fixing or price caps causes shortages. What you're going to tell an orange juice manufacturer, if the cost of their raw goods, the cost of fertilizer is going up, the cost of shipping is going up, that they have to sell their orange juice for $5 when it costs them $7 to make it. I'm just coming up with these figures. You will have bare shelves, so make America the Soviet Union should be the slogan there. Moving on to this, Sean. Former prosecutor you are, this is breaking news. We just learned that attorneys for former President Donald Trump sent a letter to Judge Juan Merchan asking to delay his New York criminal case sentencing until after the election. Judge Merchan also denied yet another Trump team request for the judge to recuse himself from the case. Trump's legal team argues the judge's daughter's work with the Democrat Party, including Vice President Harris, is a conflict of interest. Trump's sentence on 34 felony counts is scheduled for September 18th, just 48 days before the election. Our own legal analyst, Andy McCarthy, said it's all part of a much bigger play. He writes in a new opinion piece, quote, the objective here is to enable Vice President Harris and the media, Democrat complex, to label Trump a convicted felon sentenced to prison just weeks before Election Day, at a time when Americans will already have started voting in many states, not least the potentially decisive Pennsylvania battleground. What is your analysis of this? Because he has said, I'll hear the arguments on the Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity, but I'm still planning to sentence you on September 18th. Do the president's lawyers have a case to move the sentencing at the very least?
Well, listen, of course, it doesn't matter what should happen, what the law dictates you should do. Juan Merchan does what he wants to do, right? So these are all issues that can come up on appeal, but that's going to come, years later, right? So, again, this matters for the election. I think Juan Merchan has such hatred for Donald Trump. I think his gut reaction will be, whether it's house arrest or send him to prison, I think Andy McCarthy is right on that. But if you're Kamala Harris, you would say, listen, I'm moving up in the polls. I feel like I'm doing pretty well. I don't want Juan Merchan to inflame the American people and base to kind of really underscore the lawfare that we've engaged in with Donald Trump. Not only do we want to send him to prison, there's been an attempt on his life of assassination. I think Kamala Harris, if she could tell Juan Merchan, and maybe she has, listen, let this case go. I don't want this case to be in the minds of the American people, because you could again inflame them, and Donald Trump could rise again in the polls, because every time we've used lawfare against him, he's done better in the polling. More American people, more Americans like him when we attack him. So let's not do it. But Juan Merchan, if left to his own devices, to Andy McCarthy's point, I think is going to sentence him either to house arrest or to jail.
And Sean, one thing that the president's, and Andy notes this in his article, one thing the president's attorneys noted is that they claim that the lucrative political work Merchan's daughter has done for Vice President Kamala Harris should be seen as more significant now that Harris has replaced Joe Biden as Trump's opponent in the upcoming election, that has to be taken into account, which will surely be ignored by the judge.
Well, Dagan, just real quick, it's either you have a conflict or you have the appearance of a conflict, right? And that's when judges should get off. And because of the work of Merchan's daughter, at least there is the appearance of a conflict here, and he should remove himself from the case. But again, if that happens, Dagan, you might get a fair and impartial judge. Merchan can't let that happen. He has a political vendetta against Donald Trump, so he wants to keep this case so he can extract some pain from President Trump, not because of the law, not because of what Donald Trump did, but because of politics. That's what this is all about.
As Andy said, politics, not justice. Sean, I'll see you later.
That's right.
What time's our show?
Tonight.
6 p.m.?
6 o'clock.
6 p.m. Fox Business. Great to see you. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.